So I'd love if you could talk about goal setting at its very root, and more from the kind of personal perspective, because that obviously applies to everyone.
Well, and what's funny, I think, is that I don't know let's make up the percentage, but I would say half of the people haven't even considered trying to get more out of life. They just go along, they're going through the motions, and they kind of end up at the end of the day doing what they do, doing what they've done, and then they die. And they don't actually have any real cognizant desire to change or grow or have a better life or better relationship or better business. So the idea of that vivid vision concept, and it's funny, we talked a little bit just before we went live, there is a little bit of manifestation that's in that when you really start to think about what your life is going to look like in the future, when you start to clarify what it's going to look like, when you write it down and you commit it to yourself, and then you start sharing it with friends, you start to manifest it because it starts to become part of your decision-making process. It starts to become part of your DNA. Your friends start holding you accountable to it. So I think there is something in that manifestation, and it's rooted in sport. So I learned the idea of the vivid vision concept 24 years ago from an Olympic coach who was working with high performance athletes, and he helped them visualize themselves performing the event. And that they would literally close their eyes and roll through the event over and over and over hundreds of times, whether they were skiing or doing a gymnastics routine or cycling, whatever they were doing. He got them to visualize themselves and feel themselves performing the event, so that when they were performing, they could almost do it as if it was complete instinct. And in the business world, most entrepreneurs have an idea of what they're building in their minds, but no one can see it. You know, in our general lives, in our day-to-day lives, some people want to have a better life. Some people are driving towards stuff. So the vivid vision concept in your personal life would be crafting a 2 or 3 page written description of every aspect of your life 3 years from now, as if it's already come true, as if you were describing yourself 3 years from now. So David, as an example, you would describe your fitness. You describe what you do for fun, what your relationships are with your family, relationships are with partners, what you're doing, in terms of spirituality or self-growth, or maybe how you're eating and how you're treating yourself and how you're thinking, what your morning routines might be. And it's not a list of goals. You're describing your day and your life and yourself 3 years from now as if it's already come true, as if you went into a time machine to December 31st, 2024, and you described everything about David Flynn. And you end up with that 2 or 3 page document, that vivid vision of your life 3 years from now that you can share with everyone around you. And when they're now clear on what your life is going to look like, they can start conspiring to make that happen. So as an example, one of the things I'm doing in my life is I want to live globally. I want to now that my kids are kind of out of the house and both away at university, I like this whole idea of the digital nomad that the 30-somethings are doing. I'm like, well, I'm in my mid-50s. Why can't I do it? So I'm now building a life of living globally, getting off the grid and being able to have, a month in Barcelona, a month in Dublin, a month in Amsterdam, a month in Buenos Aires, a month in Santiago, and just moving around the world while I build my company. And then how can I connect with friends and family and spirituality and fitness while I'm doing all that?
Jeez, that's brilliant. I love that. And was this part of, the way, okay, so I'm totally on board with the idea of kind of writing down my vision for 3 years.
Can I ask one thing? Just how would you differentiate manifesting versus visioning? Are they, because they seem very much almost like the same thing. And I'm just wondering, is there a distinction between the two? Because often when I think of the word manifesting, it's often in kind of more hippie, ephemeral, more spiritual communities, versus visioning. Typically it's in the boardroom.
Well, it's the same. I mean, manifesting, the difference, I guess, would be, in business, people would visualize what their goals are going to be. They try to manifest or visualize what their business is going to look like, but then they put plans in place to make it come true. I think what a lot of individuals feel is, if I keep thinking about it, it will happen. No, it won't. Like, if you can, vision without execution is hallucination, right? That was Thomas Edison that said that. So you can have all this amazing dream for what your life's going to look like, but if you don't start every day taking little bits of steps towards that, nothing will change. So I think, whether you're a hippie or whether you're a new ager or whether you're, a grandma or a kid or, a 20-something or a business person, you have to start, once the vision is clear, then you can start figuring out 1 or 2 things to make every sentence come true. And almost like building a home, if you were building a house you start with the foundation, right? Everybody wants to put in the Wolf stove and the Sub-Zero fridge and the beautiful cabinets, but you put in the foundation, then you put up the walls, then you put in the electrical and the plumbing, and then you put in the drywall. There's an order of operations to build the home. If you go in day one and put in the cool fridge, there's not even a floor to put it on. So in building your life, you have to start with the foundational things first, right? Fitness, your spirituality, who you spend time with, your food that you're putting into your body. There's the basic things that, when you take care of yourself and you take care of your body, then you can do more and achieve more. So I think there's a bit of an order of operations as humans as well.
Yeah, you talk about the 5 F's: your fun, your family, your finances, your
faith,
and your something else. I can't remember the other one anyway, but the 5 of them. But I was going to say that, okay, so I really like the idea. Okay. And I've done this multiple times after reading your book, write down your 3, what you kind of envision yourself in your present tense in 3 years time. And I write that all down and whatever. And when I'm thinking in terms of my personal life, the bit which can be difficult, like it's very easy writing stuff, having fun, pondering and writing nice stuff down, sitting in the garden and doing it. And then the bit is like when you're meant to share it with your family and friends and go, hey guys, look, this is what I'm going to be in 3 years.
You're going to be vivid vision.
You're going to be so lucky. You're going to be so lucky to know me in 3 years. This is how cool I'm going to be. It just feels that's the bit which I struggle with, is how do you kind of, because I think, as you mentioned, as part of the kind of bringing this to life, you want to get others on board so they can support you. Like if you want to lose weight, you want friends to not show up with donuts, as I've heard you say.
Here's the easiest way to do it. And I'll use the business analogy first, and then it will make sense on the personal side second. In the business world, if you craft a vivid vision for your company and what your company is going to look like, act like, and feel like 3 years from now, you don't share it with the world day one. You share it with your leadership team first, and you get the leadership team excited and bought in. Then you share it with the management team and you get them excited and bought in. Then you share it with all the frontline employees and you get them excited and bought in. Then you share it with your suppliers and your accountants and your lawyers, so they're all bought in. And then you send it with your customers and you get them bought in. Then you send it to potential customers and potential employees, right? So you kind of, you push it out through the groups that are closest to you and most tied to what you're working on and believe in you. Because they will think you're a little bit crazy. Even your leadership team will think you're crazy, but not as crazy as the outside world will. So if everybody, right, if the people closest to you believe first, then the rest of the people will start to believe second. On the personal side, most people have got 3 or 4 people close to them that we could say, hey, I'm a little nervous about sharing something, but you're the person that I think is closest to me. I'd like to share what I want my life to look like in 3 years. Can you read it? And tell me what you think. Tell me where you think tell me what you're excited for me with.
Brilliant.
And the key is to not ask people what they think. It's to ask them what they're excited about for you. Because they will always have things that they don't necessarily see as clearly. And I'll give you a really good example of that. So when this phone, right, this is an iPhone, when this was created 14 years ago, what did everyone on the planet tell Steve Jobs was missing on the iPhone?
Keyboard.
You'll never sell one. There's no keyboard. No one will buy a phone for $500 if there's no keyboard. He didn't give a shit. He had a vision of what he was creating. And as soon as we heard the first person typing with the clicks, we're like, let me try that. And then we were hooked. So he got his leadership team excited and his employees excited. He got his zealots, like the crazy maniacal tribe of Apple people excited. And then the rest of us wanted in, right? So it's very similar with your vivid vision as a personal life as well. Don't worry about sharing it with the outside world yet. Share it with the people closest to you first.
So it's like often we'd say with health, like social accountability is such an important factor. It's almost like using your friends and your loved ones to hold you accountable to what you said you'd do. And in essence, that's what I'm understanding with the sense of telling others. It's like that you're going to be held more accountable and you feel more, I said I'd do it. I better do it. Otherwise I'm going to be, disintegral.
So that really ties into my belief around goal setting. And so when I set goals, and we've all heard of the acronym SMART for a SMART goal. I use a different acronym from most people. For me, the letter S in SMART stands for sharing your goal. So for a goal to actually happen and come true, you need to commit it to at least one other person. If you guys commit your goals to each other, it's better than keeping it in your head. If you commit it to your team, the more you start to feel more tension to make it happen, the more people you share your goals with. So that's the S.
I like that.
The M for me is measurable. Every goal has to have a dollar sign, a number sign, or a percentage sign in the goal. Otherwise, it's hazy, right? You would never say to a high jumper, how high do you want to jump? Oh, I want to jump high. Like they have a specific, right? Or how fast do you want to run? I want to run really fast. Like they all have a goal, and then they break the goal down. If you watch the guy beat the 2 hour marathon on the track, he did it about 1.5 years ago. He literally had the split times being read out on a truck driving in front of him. Like everything was broken down to the minutia, but it was measurable. And then the A has to be attainable. There has to be some reasonable expectation that you can make it come true, right? You can't set a vivid vision for yourself right now and say that you're going to win an Olympic gold in 3 years if you're a fat ass sitting on the couch. Right? There has to be some reasonable Now, you could say that you're going to run, a 5K, or that you're going to lose weight. But you have to have some measurable, attainable stretch.
Can I interrupt you there? So where do you find the balance? Because I know you do need to, within that, SMART acronym, like with attainable, you also want to stretch yourself. So it is as I've read, which you write down when you're writing your vivid vision for a company and you're showing it to your friends, you want their jaw to kind of drop a little bit. So you want them to go, oh my God, this is what your vision for your life or whatever, so how do you find the balance between if you are overweight and you want to become an Olympic sprinter and win an Olympic gold? That does sound slightly unobtainable, but it has to be some kind of balance somewhere on the spectrum there, doesn't it?
For me, it's always been, and this might sound a little bit weird, your gut just knows. You just know that you can do it, or it's too much, right? You just can feel it because you can see it, because it's so clear that it's like, yeah, I can fucking do this. Like, I know it's going to be a stretch. I know I'm going to have to work hard, but your gut just knows. We have that human computer built into us to know that we can make it come true. Maybe we have to get coaches. Maybe we have to make some more money to help us with it. Maybe we have to get out of bed early, but at our gut level, we're like, yeah, I can pull this off. Right.
That's a nice one. Yeah.
So sense intuition, connect with your intuition.
We've got A. What about R and T?
So the R, so the R in SMART stands for relevant. That specific goal has to be tied to making something bigger come true. Otherwise, why are we doing it? Right? What's the point of that goal in the first place? Is it making some sentence in the vivid vision happen? Is it driving towards your BHAG? Is it living your core purpose? Right? What's the purpose of doing this thing? What's the metric or something that it's going to drive? And then people get more bought in, right? They understand why they're doing it. And you understand why you're doing it. You don't push it off because you understand the relevance of it. And then the T is time-based. And what I mean here is, don't tell me when you're going to get a project completed. Break the project down into steps. Think about how many hours or days each step is going to take. And tell me when you're going to do each of the steps of the project, so we know that you've thought through when it will actually be completed by.